You know, back in high school, I read a book called 1984 by George Orwell. It's a fictional book about a dystopian future full of tyranny. And man, I'm so glad that it's a book of fiction, because it would suck living in a dystopian future filled with tyranny.
All too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things that simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Alright, today we're going to talk about George Orwell's famous novel 1984 and the eerie predictions it's made. A look at some of the ways George Orwell's 1984 has come true. When George Orwell penned out his famous dystopian novel 1984, released 67 years ago in June 1949, it was intended as fiction. The futuristic setting is more than 3 decades in our rearview mirror, but many aspects of the book have come eerily true today. The novel tells of a socially stratified post-nuclear war world ruled by 3 superstates: Oceania, Eastasia, and Eurasia. And one of the first predictions George Orwell makes in his book 1984 is called The Endless War. In Orwell's masterpiece, the world is always at war, the enemy changes, but the war never ends. At one point during a hate week rally, the nation's alliance abruptly changes, and the speaker seamlessly shifts mid-sentence from denouncing one enemy to denouncing another. The battleground is never clear, it's always someplace far away, but the supposed fighting keeps the country in a permanent wartime economy and creates a common enemy other than the repressive government of Big Brother. Today we have the war on terror, a battle with an unclear battleground and no end in sight. Number 2, the second prediction, the surveillance state. One of the most defining characteristics of Orwell's novel is the extent of Big Brother's surveillance state. In fact, the entire concept of Big Brother has become so synonymous with omnipresent surveillance that it sparked a reality show of the same name in which the contestants are under constant surveillance. The book features telescreens that are dual-purpose devices. They both play a steady stream of televised propaganda and record everything going on. Telescreens are present in upper and middle class homes, but not in the prole homes because the government doesn't really care what the poor people are doing anyways. Today we have our own little two-way device we carry around everywhere, cell phones. They've created a world where it's safest to assume everything is recorded always. Like telescreens, they can even be used for government surveillance, as FBI proved in 2006 when they used an alleged mobster's phone as a roving bug, hacking in to turn the mic on and record. Aside from roving bugs, there are spy programs for phone metadata collection, internet use monitoring, and warrantless wiretapping controversies. Maybe 1984 isn't such a thing of the past. Now keep this in mind, he wrote this in the 40s, so it's a little nuts. The third prediction George Orwell made is called Newspeak. Created by the crazy totalitarian state, Newspeak is a version of English where words are strung together and abbreviated to create new words. In other words, it's basically how we text, am I right? True, Newspeak is far more sinister in its purpose than text slang, although presumably the grammar nerds may find them similarly deplorable. In 1984, Newspeak is a deliberately limiting language intended to make revolutionary thought impossible by scrubbing the words for it from the common vocabulary. Text slang, on the other hand, is more about convenience and autocorrect. The net results of the two have a lot of similarities though. And now I'm going to give you an example of what Newspeak means. So for example, instead of saying the word warm, you say uncold. Instead of saying the word good, you say unbad. Instead of saying the word bad, you say ungood. And one recent example I can give you is in the news, in the media, everywhere right now, you hear the words new normal. Now, new and normal are contradiction. If something is new, it's not normal anymore. And if something is normal, it's not really new, right? For example, what's normal? What's normal is going to school in person. What's normal is keeping your businesses and not losing them. What's normal is having plenty of toilet paper on the shelves. What's normal is, going to your favorite sports stadiums. What's normal is going to your job. What's normal is going to your favorite restaurant. Now, this new way of life today, it's not normal. We don't do those things anymore. All those things have been shut down and canceled. Now, instead of calling it what it is, which is a new way of life that's depressing, they call it the new normal because it sounds less menacing. It sounds a little bit more innocent, new normal. It's just a new normal way of doing things, So that's an example of Newspeak. Alright, now that I explained what Newspeak is, I'm going to show you a little collage I made of the words new normal being used throughout the media. Now these are just a few examples. There are so many more, but I only put a few together for the sake of time.
Americans are facing a new normal.
What life is going to be like under this new normal.
Is now preparing for the new normal.
But yeah, I really dislike that word, new normal. I don't like it at all. Alright, and the fourth prediction George Orwell made is called doublethink. Doublethink is an inherently contradictory part of Newspeak and 1984 party politics. According to the novel, doublethink is to know and not to know, to be conscious of complete truthfulness while telling carefully constructed lies, to hold simultaneously two opinions which cancel out, knowing them to be contradictory and believing in both of them, to use logic against logic, to repudiate morality while laying claim to it. But yeah, let me give you an example of doublethink that George Orwell used in his book. The first one is war is peace, right? How can a war be peace? But some people have the same belief in their heads that war is also peace. War and peace don't even fit in the same sentence, right? Just like today, what do we have today? We have the war on terror to bring peace, right? Another example is ignorance is strength, and strength is ignorance. Strength and ignorance do not belong in the same sentence, right? But they say if you just, listen to authority, don't question anything, be ignorant, and that's your strength. And the third one that he used, which is also famous, is slavery is freedom, and freedom is slavery. Now, freedom and slavery does not belong in the same sentence, right? So basically, let us take away your rights to keep you safe, right? Let us make you slaves so you can be safe, so you can have freedom. Slavery is freedom. But yeah, those are three examples of doublethink. And let's move on. And the fifth and final prediction that George Orwell made is called the placated prose. Now the prose, the lower class people who make up majority of Oceania's populations, are largely ignored by the government. They don't face the kind of indoctrinations that the inner and outer party members do, and for the most part they're kept under control by rumors spread by the thought police and easy to access various vices. Heavy work, the care of home, children, petty quarrels with neighbors, films, football, beer, and above all, gambling filled up the horizon of their minds. Orwell wrote they're also placated with easy access to party-produced porn and certain crimes, including prostitution, drug dealing, and racketeering, go pretty much unchecked in the proportions of the town. Basically, the idea is to keep the placated and distracted so that they don't pay any attention to the political machinations moving the world around them. Today, in a world where a naked Kardashian selfie can attract more attention than the State of the Union, it's not hard to see the same parallels. So yeah, George Orwell's fictional novel made quite a lot of eerie predictions. It's very creepy. But yeah, that was it. And please remember to wash your hands, stay inside, and don't question authority. And we're done.
In case I don't see ya, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.